Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zack, and today I am driving a 2008 Toyota Camry LE. Up front is a 2.4 liter inline 4, and down below is a 5-speed automatic transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this Toyota Camry for one main reason. I drove a 4-cylinder Camry in this generation a couple years ago, and I talked about how sturdy and how reliable these cars are. Well, I didn't do my homework as well as I should have, and so I've come to play here today with some more info, some better understanding of this vehicle and this platform, and I'm excited to share that with you today. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. Also, huge thank you to North Naperville Autos for letting me take this vehicle out. More on them towards the end of the video, but if you'd like to browse their inventory, you can do so in the description below. But let's get back to that 2.4 liter under the hood. Well, there were two engines offered in this generation of Camry here in the United States. We got this, the 2.4 liter 4-cylinder, or the 3.5 liter V6. Now, I've driven both engines, spent extensive time with both engines, and driving them, they're fine. Obviously, the V6 is going to make more power and torque and offer a better driving experience, but the 4-cylinder is going to be more economical. However, there is a big issue with these 2.4 liter engines, which is the fact that they actually burn oil from the factory. And so I gave a call to my good friend Ahmed from the Car Care Nut to explain it a little bit further.
Hey, Zack.
Hey, how are you?
What's up, bud?
I am in a 2008 Camry with the 4-cylinder. What do I need to know?
Run for the hill.
Why is that?
Are you reviewing it?
Yeah.
So these were known for oil burning from the factory.
Gotcha.
The 4-cylinder, but at some point they issued a campaign for a limited time campaign, and they basically rebuild all the motors. If you get one of these with a rebuilt engine and updated parts, they're actually great cars. But yeah, that's one of their Achilles heels. That's why at some point they were called the worst Camry ever made.
Oh, well, good to know. So right from the expert's mouth, these 4-cylinders aren't great. Now, in the grand scheme of things, and like he said, there is an update for updated parts that would actually fix this issue. It's a good car otherwise, and even though it does burn oil, even though from the factory they did have defects, I would still trust this 4-cylinder better than some of the competition at the time, even with its issues. So, especially if you want to look at the American brands at the time, I would still vote for Toyota in this category, even given the issues. Now, like I said, paired to it is an automatic transmission. However, you could find these in manual, which are incredibly rare. Very, very, very rare. However, it is possible, but not the easiest task. Last but not least, of course, the Camry is front-wheel drive because we did not get the all-wheel drive version here in the States. How does it feel to drive the Camry LE? Well, it's a nice, relaxed experience. It doesn't have a whole lot of road noise like a lot of other economy cars would, which is nice to see and hear. Steering is a little light, however, I prefer that in a vehicle like this. And overall, it's probably the most bland, probably the most flat driving experience you can possibly have, but in the same vein as no news is good news, sometimes that's a lot better than the alternative. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 4 gauges. Off to the left is my coolant temperature and tachometer, and off to the right is my speedometer and fuel. On the steering wheel, we do have our volume, skip track, and mode buttons. However, nothing off to the right. This really reminds me of the Scion products of the era that also had asymmetrical steering wheel buttons. Off to the left, we do have a climate control vent, mirror switches, and this little pull-out cubby, which is actually really helpful if you have like a gate pass for a parking garage or a badge to get into work, things like that. Really, really nice for that. And then moving out of the door, we have the lock and unlock and power mirrors. Moving into the center, up at the very top, we do get a little digital clock as well as our security lights and passenger airbag on and off. Then we have 2 climate control vents with our hazard switch and the radio. Simple CD player, seek track, AM, FM, that's it. In 2008, a lot of companies were utilizing tons and tons of buttons for every little function. Toyota was able to simplify that, and I really, really appreciate it. Down below that, we have our climate controls. Again, very simple for fan speed off to left, temperature in the center, and where to send it off to the right. Giant cubby down below, and then we have the shifter. The shifter is a jigsaw style shifter, which I've always liked. Toyota has used this for like 2, almost 3 decades at this point. However, off to the right, we do have cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the '08 Camry LE. And unfortunately, yet very predictably, it fails the big friggin' bottle test. Then we get this giant cubby and a 12-volt outlet, center console with nothing in it, and we'll talk about the seats. Now, the LE is a lower trim level, so it does come with the cloth seats. However, you could find them with leather. I've always preferred the leather of this generation. However, I don't mind the cloth here today. It just stains easier. It's a little bit harder to get in and out of, especially on a hot, sticky day like it is today. So, not my favorite, but it has held up pretty well over the last 89,000 miles, and I can appreciate that. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a backseat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2008 Toyota Camry LE, and a couple of things to note. First of all, I always forget that the Camry is a longer wheelbase than what's in my head. I always think of this as a little tiny compact car, and I keep referring to it as an economy car, but the back seat space is wonderful. I can outstretch my legs a little bit and not hit anything. Sitting normally, I'm 5'11", I'm not a small guy. Knees are not hitting the seat in front of me. Head isn't hitting the ceiling, even with my Walmart glasses on my head. It's great, actually. I do get a center console as well, if I can grab it. Big foam brick with 2 cup holders in there. No climate vents back here. Would have liked that again on a rather sweltering day here in the Chicagoland area, but not too shabby other than that. No other like crazy amenities beyond that, but very, very nice. Kids, people smaller than me, which is most people, you're gonna fit great back here. It's gonna be comfortable. It's gonna feel like a Rolls Royce to most other people, so very, very nice to see that. Let's hop into the very back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, around the back of the '08 Camry LE, button here on the key fob to pop it, but then you have to pull it up the rest of the way. Once we are back here, just like the back seats, tons and tons of space. Really love the amount of space that came in this generation of Camry. Again, in my head, when I think about this car on paper, I think of it as a little car, but it is not. And so I hope that other people don't have that same image, because it's not. It's not a little car, at least in terms of size and space that you get. Now, it fits within a parking space if I were to park normally, but very, very cool to see the rear trunk space of the '08 Camry and how spacious it is. Now we gotta talk about the looks. And again, I've never really fallen in love with this era of Camry in terms of aesthetics. I think it looks nice, but it is very blobby. It doesn't feel very sculpted. Doesn't really feel like they tried super hard on it. It seems like they built the clay model and then they went to lunch and left it out in the sun for an hour and a half and came back to it looking like this, and then they sent it off to production. I don't think that's what happened, but that's what I feel like happened. However, with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving another Camry from this generation? Well, I'm not breaking any ground. A big reason I did this video was because if you're a fan of the channel and watching this the day it comes out, today is Toyota Camry Day here on the channel. I'm releasing several different generations of the Camry all at once. And so here's my stab at the '08. But the other reason is the fact that I did want to correct myself from the last video with that 2.4 liter. This was not a good engine from the factory because it had that issue. And it's not like Toyota to have an issue like that. Toyota double and triple checks their cars. Now, on the flip side of this, I tend to find most Toyota products very, very boring. And that's true here in the Camry. I find this to be a rather boring car. But it's good to see that Toyota not only fixed their misstep, but were able to create a new product for when the vehicles were fixed, the issue would go away. That is some serious engineering and some serious heart that it takes to care about the vehicles. There are plenty of other manufacturers that see an issue and just change it for the next generation and move forward, but not Toyota. I also want to say that yes, the title of this video is the worst Camry ever, but I want you to know that even if it might have been the worst Camry made, it's still miles and miles ahead of the competition. I recently did a Toyota Tercel and said that it was probably the worst Toyota of the 90s, but the worst Toyota of the 90s was still tremendously better than any domestic product of the 90s. Tremendously better and more reliable than a lot of other vehicles. And so you have to remember that when it comes to reliability, Toyota is already so high in the stratosphere that even their worst vehicle doesn't drop below the industry standard. Besides the BZ4X, that was just to check a box from Toyota, and they don't even like that car themselves, so why would we like that car? That's not a good car. But 9 times out of 10, Toyota products are very thoroughly thought through and very well cared for on the back end. And so, that's why I wanted to correct myself here today. This is a good car, and the engine isn't a bad design, it just had one big flaw. However, once that flaw is remedied, I think you'll have yourself a wonderful little commuter car. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to North Naperville Autos for letting me take out their '08 Camry. They are absolutely wonderful. You can check out their website in the description below, browse their inventory. They always have cool and interesting vehicles. Along with thank you to Ahmed from the Car Care Nut, absolutely wonderful Toyota channel. Please go check out his channel after this video. If you're interested in Toyota's reliability, the mechanics, the specifications, really getting into the nitty gritty of these cars, the Car Care Nut is the best channel for that. And I do want to say, I called him in the video at the beginning. I did not prompt him. I didn't say I was going to call him, and he picked up on what? The third ring. Ahmed is one of the kindest people I've ever met on camera and off camera. So please go check out his stuff. That's how great a guy he is. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, but don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.